Kropotkin wrote that animals also can help each other.
202. Reduce the probability of successful violence.
Horses, for example, they very much taking care about each other.
1. Create physical space.
Also, wolves never will leave the wounded wolf in the forest.
2. Establish emotional boundaries and standards of behavior.
But it seems Darwin was more strong in the networking.
3. Invite critical feedback.
Why feminists haven't this theory about animals, I just don't know.
4. Consider your response to rights versus needs versus wants.
Or maybe they did, but I just don't know, maybe you know.
5. Develop respectful responses to disrespectful behavior.
Do you know if any researchers or even some feminist theoretician really work with this animal topic as Darwin or Kropotkin?
6. Do not shoulder the blame for criticisms that are not yours to own.
What's the time now? Father was a pilot in some way.
8. Keep what you discuss together in confidence unless there is explicit agreement regarding who needs to know further information.
What is this song? No, not right.
Five. Develop respectful responses to disrespectful behavior.
One woman told me her father was an utopian architect.
6. Do not shoulder the blame for criticisms that are not yours to own.
Father was a pilot in some way.
7. Listen with respect and respond with care.
He became alcoholic during the perestroika.
8. Keep what you discuss together in confidence unless there is explicit agreement regarding who needs to know further information.
Imagine international exhibition about alcoholism.
9. Stick to issues and behaviors.
I mean, instead of doing strange projects based on national identity, maybe better to do the projects trying to solve the problems of the people that every nation have.
10. Choose and use a level of assertion, especially triumphatic.
But there will be hard to get money on it.
11. Initiate contact with, specifically, how can I be helpful to you?
European community will say, no, we are not going to invest money on this exhibition.
12. Maintain your focus on we can work this out.
So, going back to the identity. Identity politics is still a strong brand, and you cannot avoid it.
13. Expect respect. We can work this out when you stop yelling.
My name is Olga Weyer.
14. Say what you mean in specific terms. We can't read minds.
Imagine you walk in the morning and wires are speaking with you.
15. Agree to talk directly with the person with whom there are concerns, and not seek to involve others in gossip or alliance building.
Things can speak, just listen.
16. Use fair humor, toys, stickers, etc.
This is example of my work about the wires.
17. Appropriate the space for discussion, private and neutral.
Before the wires research, I was very interested in bridges and clothes.
18. Create mutual consent to negotiate.
So the wires now really occupied my mind.
19. Use seats that convey fairness and equality, especially in situations in which one person supervises the other person.
One woman told me that she was crying.
20. Avoid large, ornate chairs that communicate prestige and power for such discussions. The people in the room know who has the power, so we must now work diligently to improve the sense of safety required to take the risks to negotiate a solution.
Selling herbs in order to buy the apartment to her son.
21. Appropriate time.
Tears runs all over her face like that.
22. Say, I really appreciate that we are talking about this issue.
She was crying because blacks, that is like in Russia, they're named migrants.
23. Say, I am glad we are trying to figure this out.
Were pushing her and harming her.
24. Define the roles of support people. Facilitators, mediators, advocates, as you need.
So she was crying every day.
25. Agree to ground rules.
But finally she bought this apartment to her son.
26. Consider the use of third parties as appropriate to the needs of the situation.
After 8 years every day selling herbs and crying in this market.
27. Keep congruent tone, words and actions.
How it is possible, I do not know, but I believe her.
28. Avoid debate.
You know, it was very important to buy this apartment to her son because he returned from army.
29. Use sure signals for confidence. Head up, face forward, eye contact, shoulders back, steady stance, posture straight, no leaning.
Russian army is very special, it have dedovshchina.
30. Count to 10. Use silence to increase your calm. It's valuable to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment.
When the new boy are coming, the old one execute him.
131. Speak from the same side of the table.
If you are not resisting, they punish you.
32. Have resources that support problem solving present for you to use. A flip chart or whiteboard, stenography pads, post-it notes, etc. can be important as your discussion evolves in a productive meeting.
If you are not resisting, they will make a slave from you.
'33. Tangible reminders to respond appropriately. Document the facts of behaviors and situation.
One
126. Refuse to fight dirty. No name calling, threatening, etc.
One woman told me that she was crying.
127. Resist giving the silent treatment.
Selling herbs in order to buy the apartment to her son.
128. Focus on the issues and focus on the present.
Tears runs all over her face like that.
129. Call time out and foul.
All the days that she was standing there in the market.
130. Use humor and comic relief.
Her target was to buy apartment to her son.
131. Always go for closure.
He returned handicapped from the Russian army.
132. Remind yourself and your partner or spouse that the goal of the discussion is resolution, and it is an opportunity to create a better situation for both of you. Engage your partner in a discussion of creative solutions and alternatives that would meet both of your needs.
Russian army have dedovshchina.
133. Sit down.
It means hierarchy built on the principles of strength only.
135. Get familiar with your opponent's ideas.
When the new boy are coming, the old execute him.
136. Promote cross pressures.
They provoke the battles between the people.
137. Identifies issues clearly and concisely.
If you are not resisting, they punish you.
138. Generate options in a brainstorm while deferring judgment.
They even can kill you.
139. Be open to tangents and other problem definitions.
If you are not resisting, they will make a slave from you.
140. Clearly clarify the criteria for decision making.
Son returned handicapped from this army.
141. Know thyself and take care of thyself.
Sometimes I think Simone Weil was right.
142. keep people and problems separate.
That we can only be honest, sharing suffer only if we're really inside the situation.
143. Clarify the personal needs threatened by the conflict.
It is problematic but very sympathetic.
144. Approach problem solving with flexibility.
Close your eyes and imagine somebody struggle much more than you.
145. Manage problems with calm, patience, and respect.
Forget about yourself.
146. Build an agreement that works.
Also in Russia now we have a big problem with Orthodox Church.
147. Understand your perceptual filters, biases, and triggers.
Orthodox Church is a part of government now.
148. Create a personal affirming environment. Eat, sleep, exercise.
It is so crazy stories about the church is going to take from the orphans their houses.
149. Clarify your feelings.
Switch on your imagination. Everything is possible.
150. Focus on underlying needs, interests, and concerns.
For example, that migrants unite with artists.
142. 142. Review the hallmarks of a good agreement.
They occupying together the concert house.
153. Implement and evaluate. Live and learn.
Or other house in Vienna. I really don't know what house they can occupy it.
155. One person speaks at a time.
Good evening, my name is Olga Wire.
157. Support the expression of dissent in a harassment-free workplace.
This name I created here in Vienna for this performance.
158. Agree to attack the issues, not the people with whom you disagree.
It helps me to relate with my partner. It is not me, although it is some features from me.
159. Say, I want to understand what has upset you.
I decided to exaggerate some features because of the target.
160. Increase and assure freedom.
It is a reflection on the position of artists in the society.
161. Encourage the other person to share his or her issues as fully as possible.
I want to show here a portrait of artist.
162. Clarify the real issues rather than making assumptions. Ask questions that allow you to gain this information and which let the other person know you are trying to understand.
I am post-conceptual artist and utopist.
163. Restate what you have heard so you are both able to see what has been understood so far. It may be that the other person will then realize that additional information is needed.
I am on my way to be activist.
165. Validate. 164. Reflect feelings. Be as clear as possible.
I'm also a storyteller, and a lot of people telling me their stories.
165. Validate the concerns of the other person, even if a solution is elusive at this time. Expressing appreciation can be a very powerful message if it is conveyed with integrity and respect.
Later, I also going to propose the idea of feminist conference about the connection between wires and migrants.
168. 166. Say, I really appreciate that we are talking about this issue. 171. Reframe the issue. Shift from substantive issues to procedural or psychological concerns. This may generate new energy to revisit the substantive issue or put it into proper perspective.
Back to Virginia Woolf in some way.
And 172. Guard the balance of powers.
I believe in narrative and think that I have to build it.
173. Break the problem into more manageable elements. Start with the bite-able bite that is also a shared concern. It probably feels overwhelming in its current form, but it builds a sense of confidence.
My identity is complicated, but I think the idea of the constructing the situation is more interesting now.
174. Stay flexible. Generate new options. Affirm the value of continuing to explore better responses when people feel trapped by their thinking.
I am post-conceptual artist in this performance.
175. Expect conflict as normal.
Here is one of my pictures.
176. Reaffirm the ground rules. Again, these are frequently overlooked at time of conflict, to our collective detriment.
It is a portrait of wire. Imagine you are walking in the morning and wires are talking with you.
177. Take a structured break as appropriate. Be sure people go on to the break with homework to do.
They have their own language, just listen.
178. Explore alternatives.
They have their own language, just listen.
179. Discuss for resolution, never for the exercise of just having the meeting.
Before I was interested in bridges, really.
180. Discuss one specific topic at a time without straying into other areas.
But you see, there is a connection between bridges, wires and flows. It is all about the communication.
182. 181. Employ the technique of aggressive silence.
About the alienation people from each other.
182. Employ only positive response body language.
182. Martha Rosler said, we objectify persons and personify things.
183. Clarify the conflict situation.
Joseph Beuys said, everybody can be an artist.
201. 202. Reduce the probability of successful violence.
That stronger animal eat weaker.
203. Create physical space.
Kropotkin wrote that animals also help each other.
204. Establish emotional boundaries and standards of behavior.
Horses, for example, they very much taking care about each other.
$205. Invite critical feedback.
Also, wolves will never leave the wounded wolf in the forest.
206. Consider your response to rights versus needs versus wants.
But Darwin was more strong in the networking.
207. Develop respectful responses to disrespectful behavior.
Why feminists cannot do such research about animals, I don't know.
208. Do not shoulder the blame for criticisms that are not yours to own.
One woman told me her father was an utopian architect.
209. Listen with respect and respond with care.
Father was a pilot in some way.
210. Keep what you discuss together in confidence unless there is explicit agreement regarding who needs to know further information.
He became alcoholic during the perestroika.
211. Stick to issues and behaviors.
I want to do about such a destiny a performance or movie.
212. Choose and use a level of assertion, especially tri-emphatic.
Because there is a common problem of alcoholism in Russia and some other countries.
213. Initiate contact with, specifically, how can I be helpful to you?
Our state created a rule. After 23 you cannot buy vodka anymore.
214. Maintain your focus on, we can work this out.
Maybe it can be helpful, but I'm not sure really.
215. Expect respect. We can work this out when you stop yelling.
Why not instead to create more clubs for alcoholics?
216. Say what you mean in specific terms. We can't read minds.
I think artists also can create something about it.
217. Agree to talk directly with the person with whom there are concerns and problems, and do not seek to involve others in gossip or alliance building.
I mean, instead of doing strange projects based on national identity, maybe better to do the project trying to solve the problems of the people that every nation have.
218. Use fair humors, toys, stickers, etc.
Can you imagine the international exhibition about alcoholism?
219. Find an appropriate space for a discussion, private and neutral.
But they will be hard to get money on it.
220. Create mutual consent to negotiate.
European community will say no We are not going to invest money on that.
221. Use seats that convey fairness and equality, especially in situations in which one person supervises the other person.
But going back to my identity.
222. Avoid large, ornate chairs that communicate prestige and power for such discussions. The people in the room know who has the power, so we must work diligently to improve the sense of safety required to take the risks to negotiate a solution.
Identity politics is still a strong brand, and you cannot avoid it.
223. Use appropriate time.
For this performance, I created a name. My name is Olga Vara.
224. Say, I really appreciate that we are talking about this issue.
In Russian, it sounds like Olga Provod. This is one of my work.
225. Say, I am glad we are trying to figure this out.